You told yourself you would not check it. 5 minutes ago, you put it face down. You said you were done. You had things to do. Important things. Things that actually mattered. And then you picked it up anyway. Not because something happened. Not because you were expecting anything. Just because. A pull you did not fully choose and could not fully explain. And the worst part is that this happens over and over. Every day. Sometimes every few minutes. And somewhere underneath the habit, a quiet frustration starts to build. Why can I not just stop? Here is the answer. And it is not what the technology companies want you to know. Your brain is not weak. Your willpower is not broken. You are not addicted in the way people use that word loosely. What is actually happening is something far more specific, far more ancient. And once you understand it, you will never look at that reflex the same way again. It starts with a system your brain has been running for 300,000 years. Your brain is a prediction machine. Every second of every day, it is doing one thing above everything else. It is trying to figure out what happens next. Not because it is anxious, because prediction is survival. In the ancestral world, the brain that could anticipate where the predator would appear, which plants were safe, what the weather was about to do, that brain stayed alive. The brain that was surprised too often did not. So your brain developed an obsession with uncertainty, specifically with resolving it. An unanswered question does not sit quietly in your mind. It activates a low-level search process that runs in the background, pulling your attention back to it again and again until it gets an answer. Neuroscientists call this the curiosity loop. And your phone is the most perfectly engineered uncertainty machine in human history. Think about what happens every time you pick it up. You do not know what is there. Maybe a message. Maybe a notification. Maybe nothing. And it is precisely that maybe that your brain cannot leave alone. A guaranteed reward trains the brain to expect. But a variable reward, something that arrives sometimes, unpredictably, on no fixed schedule, that trains the brain to compulsively check. The maybe is more powerful than the yes. Psychologist B.F. Skinner demonstrated this in the 1950s with what became one of the most replicated findings in behavioral science. When animals received a reward every time they performed a behavior, they would perform it steadily and then stop when the reward was removed. But when rewards arrived randomly, unpredictably, on a variable schedule, the behavior became almost impossible to extinguish. The animals would keep performing it long after the reward stopped entirely. Your phone operates on a variable reward schedule. Every check is a pull of the lever. Sometimes there is something. Sometimes there is nothing. And your brain, built to resolve uncertainty, cannot stop pulling. But there is something else happening too. Something even older than the curiosity loop. Your brain monitors its social environment constantly. This was not optional in the ancestral world. Knowing where you stood in the group, who was approving of you, who was not, whether your social bonds were intact and secure, that information was survival critical. The humans who ignored social signals did not last long. The ones who stayed attuned to how the group was receiving them lived to pass their genes forward. Every notification on your phone is a social signal. A like, a comment, a message, a reply, a view. Each one carries information about your social standing, your visibility, your connection to others. And your brain, which evolved to treat social information as survival data, cannot classify it as optional background noise. It treats it as urgent. This is why you can be in the middle of something genuinely important and still feel the pull. Your rational brain knows the notification can wait. Your social monitoring brain does not believe that. To it, a social signal unattended is a risk unmanaged. And then there is the third layer, the one that makes the whole thing almost impossible to resist. Your phone is never finished. A book ends. A conversation ends. A meal ends. Your brain gets a completion signal, and it releases the tension of the open loop. But your phone has no ending. The feed does not stop. The notifications do not run out. The content is literally infinite. And your brain, which craves completion the way it craves food and water, keeps scrolling, keeps checking, keeps looking for the end that never arrives. Neuroscientist Judson Brewer describes this as the habit loop driven by wanting rather than liking. You do not actually enjoy most of what you see when you check your phone compulsively. Studies consistently show that passive social media use is correlated with lower mood, more anxiety, and less satisfaction. You feel worse after most of the checking. But you keep checking because the wanting, the anticipation, the not yet knowing, is a neurological state your brain treats as meaningful. And it will trade your mood for that state again and again. So what do you actually do? Not willpower. Willpower is the wrong tool for this. You cannot outwill a system that is more ancient and more automatic than conscious thought. What actually works is friction and replacement. Friction means making the check harder. Not impossible, just harder. Phone in another room. App moved to a different screen. Notification sounds turned off. Every small increase in effort between you and the check gives your brain just enough time to catch up with what it is doing. You are not fighting the urge. You are buying a second of awareness before it completes automatically. Replacement means giving the curiosity loop something else to resolve. Your brain needs uncertainty to chase. Give it something real. A question about what you are working on. A problem worth sitting with. A creative prompt. The brain that is genuinely engaged with something uncertain does not go looking for the phone. It is already doing the thing it is built to do. And finally, notice the wanting without acting on it. That pull you feel. That itch. That low-level, almost physical pull toward the screen. You do not have to obey it. You do not have to fight it either. Just notice it. Name it. Your brain wanted a social signal. Your brain wanted to resolve an uncertainty. That is all that is happening. You are not weak. You are human, running 300,000-year-old software on a device designed by the smartest engineers in the world specifically to exploit it. You are never going to win with willpower alone. But awareness is something different. Awareness is the moment the loop becomes visible. And once the loop is visible, you have a choice that you did not have before. Put the phone down. Not forever, just for now. And notice how quickly the pull fades when you stop feeding it.